Hi there, welcome back to my shop. I have a piece of maple burl here that was given to me by Alan Duke almost a year and a half ago now. It stands 9.5 inches tall, 17.5 inches wide, and it's 3 inches thick. Now my intention is to put this on the bandsaw and cut it right down the middle, so I have two matching pieces that I can glue the ends together in a book-matched form. So I hope you will stick around and see just how I go about this and what I come up with. So I think I'll take this over to the bandsaw now. Well, I'm fairly happy with this. This is just gorgeous. Just love the look of this. It's Manitoba maple. You can probably tell by the red streaks that are in here. But I did screw up, for full disclosure. I didn't get this cut perfectly. I ended up with 1 3/8 thickness on one, and 1 5/8 on the other. So I've got a piece of 1/4 inch plywood here to line them up. But I don't think that's as big a deal as it might be. The trick now will be to glue these pieces up together. Before I cut them, I put this through the jointer to make sure that these sides are both flat. So I just need to figure out a way to clamp these, put some glue in there, and give it some time for the glue to cure. I'll be back. Well, I decided on using a couple of ratchet straps to put this together. One going around, and then after that was tightened up, putting one right around in this direction and tightening up across the joint. And having done that, I can see no light through the gap at all, so I believe it's going to glue up fine. Now, you might have been interested in seeing this done, but I have to be honest, it took a long time. So I'm not going to bother recording it, and I'm not going to bother recording the glue up. I'm sorry, it just takes way too long, and I'm sure you don't want to sit there and watch it for 20 minutes. So I'm going to get this glued up, and I will be back. Okay, I let the glue dry for about 18 hours now, so I'm thinking it's probably ready. Let's see if I can get these clamps off. Well, it looks like I managed to squeeze a little bit of wax paper in the joint. I don't think it's much at all, so that'll likely be turned out anyway. I'm not worried about it. Some glue on there, of course. And it appears to be fairly flat on that side. Now this is the book-matched side, and I'm really pleased with that. I think it's just gorgeous. The other side, of course, the patterns don't line up perfectly. So this will be the bottom of what I believe is going to be a platter. So I will start by putting a glue block in the middle of what's going to be the top, putting it on the lathe and turning the back side. I believe this is plenty deep enough that I can put a recess in the bottom to use. Get this turned, then reverse it into that recess and turn the top. Now the thing I've been wrestling with is, do I turn this round and get rid of all this, I don't know what to call these, nodules, spikes, whatever. I don't think I want to do that. I think I want to leave the outside natural. So I'm going to come up with some kind of a glue block on here, probably a threaded glue block that I've made myself. Get that mounted on there with hot glue, and I will be back. Well, I have two threaded glue blocks that I think will work for this. One is 8 inches in diameter, the other is 10 inches. And I think I'm going to go with the 10 inch. Obviously it gives a little more support on there. And this is my centering jig. This one I purchased, but of course you can make your own. You just need to turn a piece roughly an inch, inch and a quarter in diameter. Make sure there's a hole in the center of it. Get a 1/4 inch dowel or make a 1/4 inch pin to go through, put a point on it. Find the center you want to use. Punch it with an awl. Now that's centered. I just need to take my glue block, put it over top of it, and now I'll put hot glue all the way around the outside to hold this very firmly. Let that glue cool totally, and it has to start out real hot, and then I'll be ready to put this onto the lathe. All right, I've had the glue heating up in this hot glue gun for about 10 minutes now, so it should be very hot. And I just want to put a bead all the way around the outside. A very heavy bead while this is good and hot. And then I usually put a second bead over top of it, just against the glue block, to make sure it's got lots there. All right, as you can see, I've got glue all the way around. 2 layers, pretty much. And I'm going to let that cool completely. Then I'll take it over to the lathe. I have tested this as far as the speed I can get out of it. At 250 RPM, this whole thing shakes like crazy. But I found that going to 500 RPM calmed it down quite a bit. To be honest, I'm a little nervous about going beyond that. This is a very large piece. So I'm going to do this at 500 RPM and just try to clean up this face a little bit. And I'm going to start with a 3/4 inch bowl gouge. Ooh, that's pretty rough. All right, I'm going to bring up my tailstock with the live center to add a little support here and turn up the speed and see if I can come with a push cut from the outside instead. I'm sure I don't need to tell you that when you're turning something like this with this sort of jagged edge, you want to keep your hand on this side of the tool rest at all times. Could be pretty drastic problem if you don't. So I'm going to use a 1/2 inch bowl gouge now. I'm going to come in, and I'm only going to come in a little ways, and then we'll see what kind of cut I'm getting. Well, it's nothing I'm going to brag about, that's for sure. But even though it's jagged, I can see I'm not getting the chip out that I was getting before. So I will carry on attempting to clean this up. First thing I'm going to do is see what happens. I have turned this up to 750 RPM. Well, it's not shaking as much as I thought it would, so I guess I'll try turning and see what that goes like. Well, it's certainly going to need some sanding, but it is much improved over what it was. cutting much nicer. Ways to go here yet though. All right, I think just some sanding should take care of this in here. Now I've got to take care of this foot. That looks a lot worse than it feels, so I think I should be able to do the rest of this with sanding. That's beautiful wood. I'm going to sand all of this using my 2-inch disc on my drill. I'll have this turning in reverse to take the dust toward the dust port that is sitting right here, and this will also be spinning in reverse against it. So I'll get my air shield on for lung protection, and I'll be right back. I have an accessory that goes on my one-way live center. This is an adapter. The male threads, you can get whatever size you need for your chuck. Now I can screw my adapter into the chuck, bring the whole thing forward, tighten it just a little bit, and then tighten the chuck so that it is ready to be reversed, and I can start turning this piece. All right, now I can take this off of the spindle, and I will be ready to start turning this. All right, to take this off, I'm going to pour some denatured alcohol down over the glue, and I have had both good and bad results with this. Some hot glues seem to react much better than others, and I'm not sure here just yet. Okay, got a little pocket there now. I'll try pouring some right into that. Ah, yes, that's helping. All right, that's going to work just great to take this off. But I'm sure you don't want to watch the whole thing, so I'll get this glue block removed and then I'll be back. Before I start turning on this second side, I want to clean this up. And I don't want to take all of these points right off, and I don't want to sand it with a Sandiflex, because the only one I have is 80 grit, which is far too coarse. So I'm going to use a nylon brush on my drill. These are quite stiff, and I'll show you just a little bit in here, and then I'll carry on. I'll finish the outside before I do any turning on this side. Well, as you can see, it does a good job of cleaning that up, but does not tear all of these tips off of there. Now, the reason I want to keep this turning in forward, like this, is I want it to be coming across the finished side. I don't want it coming from the back and tearing this side up. So I will carry on, do all the way around, and then I'll be back. Well, I have to say I'm very pleased with how well this worked. There was some real dark bark stuck in here. It took it virtually all out. There's little bits in there I can see, but I'll work at it some more, might get them out. And if I don't, well, I'm okay with that actually. It's just a huge improvement. All right, there are two more things I want to point out before I start turning this side. Now, first of all, you can see where I marked the center to put the glue block on. And when I turn this on, that should still be on center. And it is. So I'm very pleased with that. Another thing I want to show you is I've got the tool rest up fairly close to the wood, and I've adjusted it so that when I slide my gouge across here at the angle I intend to turn on, it goes right to the center, so I can turn right to that center point. And actually, a third thing, I'll use the rubber tip eraser on my pencil, and I want to see just how much difference there is in as far as how far it is out. And you can see there's a difference from where it touches right there of probably 3/16 of an inch. So my intention is to turn from the outside in, probably to about here, just to get it nice and smooth, and then I'll start working on making this a shallow platter. It's only going to be at most an inch thick, so I can't go in too far or I'm going to go right into the mortise that chuck is in. All right, I think it's time to do a little bit of honing on this. I have a spot right here that's quite punky. I'm going to try to fill this little hole with CA glue and some of these shavings. This is getting too thin to just keep trying to turn that away. So I'll bring you back after I get that filled. All right, that patched that up very nicely. I'm happy with that. All right, it's time for sanding. I will do this off camera since you've already seen me do the other side, and I'll be back. Well, I'm quite pleased with this. I think that came out very nicely. I just love Maple Burl. So I've got my signature, identified it as Maple Burl, got the year down here, and my logo coin. And this is raised a little bit so that it kind of creates a shadow line there, and the whole thing's not laying flat. So I'm going to finish this with mineral oil. I couldn't think of anything else that I would like to see on here, or that is as easy to apply as mineral oil is. Now this is just a little over 18 inches in diameter, and what I usually soak things in is only 12 inches, so obviously it's not going to go in there. I'll just have to let it sit on top here after I get each side finished. So I'll use this brush to get down around all of this outside pieces and use some shop towel to apply it to the main surfaces. Well, I want to thank you for showing up today. I really appreciate your support. If you haven't subscribed before, I hope you'll consider doing that. And if you like this, please click the like button. Let me know I'm doing something right. I know there's going to be at least a couple people click the dislike button because there always are, no matter what I do. That's okay. Feel free to click whatever button you like. I hope you'll come back again next time. Between now and then, have a great day in your shop and be safe. And also, if you like this, I'd really appreciate it if you'd share it out there. Let other people see it. I'm sure I'm not the first one who came up with the idea of slicing a burl to book match, but I haven't seen it before, so maybe I am. Unlikely. Thank you again for coming in today. Oh, and I just love how these colors are popping when it gets wet. Incredible. All right, take care of yourself and please come back next time. Bye-bye now.